Alrighty, if you would not mind, please, inside of your activities, let me share the screen. Inside of activities, you're going to go back to the activity that you completed or that you worked on yesterday. So scroll down past your DMR, scroll down past the fractions, and boom, main idea, democratic values. Oh, one person has turned it in since this morning when I sent them back. There we go, sir. I'll send it back to you now. That way you can rewrite on it. And go ahead and open up your same draft. Do not start a new one. Open up the same one and go ahead and begin to edit that work. We're going to take a look at day 2 together today, okay? So I'm going to edit my draft. And then we're going to go to day 2, which is after the stop sign. So the stop sign separated day 1 and day 2. Now we're going to be on slide 5. Okay. This is where we'll be completing our work. We do have some instructions to go over first. So go ahead and click on that view instructions. And we're going to go down to day 2. Guys, make sure you are staying on mute. That way we don't have to do a permanent mute. Awesome. And we can get a great recording of our lesson for people who need to view it later. Okay. So day 2, it says, with your teacher, watch and discuss instructional slides 9 through 14. On your own, you're going to listen to the text on slide 5, and you're going to complete the work on slides 6 through 10. So first, we're going to take a look at these instructional slides. And it said to go to slide 9, so that's what I'm going to do here. There's our stop sign from yesterday, so we're finishing up here. This is just a quick reminder of main idea, remembering that you are finding the main idea of the text that you are reading. And main idea works just like a table. When you think about a table, you start thinking about the things that you have done at that table, the stuff that happened on top. That's where your memories are. When you think about a table, you don't often think, oh man, the legs on that table were really supportive to me and kept me up so I could eat my food. I love those legs. Okay, that's not what we do. It's the same thing with our brains when we read a text. We typically say, that was a great book about LeBron James. Or, man, I really enjoyed learning about how animals live in the winter. We look at the main idea. We remember what was mostly happening. When we take time to think about it, then we start remembering that there's some support there as well. Oh man, I didn't know that LeBron James had his own school. That was really cool to learn. I didn't know that LeBron James played in a different city other than oh my goodness, I want to say Michigan. Thank you, Cleveland. I was like, it's not Michigan, it's Ohio, other than the Cleveland, for the Cleveland team. That's really cool. So we start to think about those supporting details and they come back to our memory. It's the same thing when we're reading a text. We're going to easily in our brain see what's mostly going on, but we've got to remember, how did we figure that out? What details kept that up for us? Okay. Again, these are the words that you are going to be familiar with. We heard the word liberty yesterday. Guys, I was so impressed with your main ideas yesterday. I only had a few people say one word and say the main idea was liberty. Most of you were giving fantastic information. The main idea is that liberty is an important democratic value that says we are free. Or the main idea is that our freedom in America is called liberty. You were so specific with your information and it was wonderful, okay? We're going to continue that going on, and it makes me excited because I know that you understand the vocabulary words, okay? I saw lots of vocabulary inside of your main ideas yesterday. Today, we're going to watch another example of finding the main idea of some of our democratic values in America. This video is going to take a look at equality and the rights that you have as an individual. So not just because of America, But you as a single person here, what rights do you have given to you? Okay, so we're going to listen to this text and then we will watch Mr. McKinney think about the main idea of this text. Okay, alrighty, so listen up, and this is just an example for you to think about and a way for you to learn more information. Here we go.
We can't hear.
I can hear, it's just really quiet.
There you go. I've turned it up. You guys will need to turn up your sound all the way as well because I have it as loud as it can go. My sound is all the way up. Alrighty, here we go.
Equality and individual rights. Equality is another democratic value. Equality means that everyone is treated as equals. It shouldn't matter how much money you have, where you live, what religion you practice, or what color your skin is. Our country has laws to protect equality. For example, an employer cannot fire someone based on age or gender. You cannot be fired from your job because of things like gender, age, or race. Why is equality important in a society? People feel connected to their community if they are accepted. People who feel connected help their communities grow and succeed. President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into law. Fact: according to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it is against the law to treat someone differently based on race, religion, gender, or where they are from. All U.S. citizens have the same individual rights. The Constitution guarantees certain rights. For example, citizens who are at least 18 years old have the right to vote. A woman votes during Election Day. Let's look at some other rights. Freedom of speech. You have the right to say what you think without being stopped or punished. For example, if you disagree with something our government is doing, you have the right to say something and to tell others about it. Freedom of the press. You have the right to write your ideas and beliefs. This is also important for journalists and other members of the media. The government cannot stop them from printing stories, even if it makes the government look bad. Freedom of religion. You have the right to practice the religion you choose. You have the right to switch religions or not belong to any religion. The government cannot treat one religious group better than another.
Okay, so understanding that you have individual rights that cannot be taken to you because of things that are outside of your control. So the text gave the example of gender, age, or race. So in America, no one is allowed to look at you and say, I don't really want to give you that job because you're 37 and I want someone who's 20. Okay, so they can't do that. They also can't say, no, we're not going to hire you because you have black skin and we want someone with white skin. Okay, those are not allowed according to our government's constitution. So according to the rules that we have agreed upon in our country to run it, there are things that we are not allowed to say, I'm not going to help you because of this from the government. Okay, so this is very good news that we have individual rights. That second page of this text, and I'll go there here, showed us different ways that we can express ourselves when we feel like those might not be being met. So freedom of speech. This means that if you feel like there's something going on that is not fair, is not equal, is not right, then you have the ability to speak up, and you can speak up in what form you choose. It could be a protest. It could be in the press. It says freedom of the press. You could go on into a newspaper. You could make a blog on YouTube. You could talk with the news channel station and say, can you tell this story? So these can kind of go hand in hand sometimes. So not only are people not allowed to discriminate against you, but you have the ability to speak up if you feel that it's happening. So you've been empowered to take that control, Okay, this is great news for us as Americans. So now Mr. McKinney is going to talk through what is the main idea. What is this mostly about? And one thing that I do want us to remember is that we're not just going to say the main idea is equality and individual rights. If I only say that, I don't know what you're telling me about it. Are you saying that equality and individual rights are important? Are you saying I don't like equality and individual rights? Are you saying the main idea is that equality and individual rights are a good thing? I don't know. So you have to be more specific than just saying the words. You've got to give information, okay? Here's an example of how we can find that main idea.
Let's try to find the main idea
Sorry about that.
from the pages we just read. Start off by looking at the title, Equality and Individual Rights. So I know it has something to do with equality and individual rights. Let's look at the first sentence. Equality is another democratic value. That sounds like it could be important. Let's look at the last sentence. For example, citizens who are at least 18 years old have the right to vote. It's giving an example of something, so I don't think it's too important for now, but it could be later. So I know it could be anywhere. So let's start looking for repeated words. Equality, equality, equals, equality, equality. And some other repeated words are rights, 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 the right, right, and right. Pause the video and discuss with your teacher what you think equality and individual rights mean.
Alrighty, so let's hear it, kiddos. What do equality and individual rights mean? Let's go with the first word, equality. That's a vocab word. You should know this already. What is equality? Since we've seen it in our text 5 times, obviously it's important. Hopefully we know what that means. What does it mean if you have equality? Terrence?
Yes.
You had your hand raised. Can you tell us what equality means?
Equality means where it's a right that you have to do.
And what does equality mean? What right is that? What does it mean if I'm equal?
Like if somebody, like for an example, like somebody couldn't have more of something than the other. People have to treat people equally.
Yeah. So somebody's not allowed to say like, ooh, I'm going to give this person more money because they are a boy, and this person should get less money because they're a girl and they're not really as good, right? That's not equal, okay? Now, that's based on things that we can't control. There are times that we should get more money or that there should be a little bit of a difference. For example, let's say that someone decides they're not going to come to work anymore and they don't want to show up, but they think they should still get paid. That's not an equality issue because at that time, people aren't putting in the effort that is required, okay? So there are times just because you're a human, it doesn't mean, yep, I should get paid this much money because this person gets paid this much money, right? We've got to look at the amount of work that's being put there. But it's exactly what you said. We can't treat people differently just because, right? So equality would say that we're all being treated equally and that we all have those same rights, okay? So someone can't look at someone else and say, ooh, I don't like your church because you guys believe in this, so you can't have a church anymore, okay? That's not equal, all right? So we have the freedom to have those opportunities in front of us to believe what we want, to try to get the jobs that we want, and so forth. William, did you have something to add?
Equality also means you have to be equal and you have to share too. So
Yeah.
you can't just be hoggish.
Yeah. So this kind of goes both ways, right? Not only do we expect the government to be fair to us, but we also have to be fair to other people. Okay. So we also have to treat other people equally ourselves, or else it doesn't matter, right? It's kind of like if your parents say, I need you guys to stop arguing. Please stop arguing. You and your brother love each other. It's great. But you both are like, nah. And then you keep fighting. It doesn't matter how much your parents say it. If you don't make that choice, then it's not going to work. It's the same thing with us. The government is telling us this is what's going to be in place. But if we don't make those changes in our life, and if we don't view other people as equal, it doesn't matter how much the government says it, because we're the ones that are making the action in the world. Very important point. Thank you, William. Next question, what are individual rights? We've talked about this a lot. We know that there's two different kinds of rights. There's right like what you do on paper. There's right like, yes, you got it correct. And now there's a third kind. What is a right? So if I have a right to freedom of speech, what does that mean? I have a right to freedom of speech. William?
A right is like something you have. Like,
Yeah.
for example, if somebody owns a weapon, they have a right to own that weapon.
Yes, that is one of our constitutional rights to own a weapon for the purpose of protection. Okay, so that means people can't look at you and say, oh no, you're the right age, but I'm not going to give you that weapon, right? So you have to have these opportunities given to you. So William gave us the example of the right to bear arms. That means the right to protect ourselves. There's also, as we looked in this text, the right to freedom of speech. That means if I don't like something that the government did, I have the right to say, hey, that's not okay. And the government is not allowed to say, oh, you're going to go to jail. You shouldn't have said that. Okay. So we have the right to speak up for those things. You guys have seen a lot of this in the past year. Okay. There have been lots of protests and lots of people exercising this right. Okay. Now there's a lot of opinions on whether it was the correct thing to do or not. There's a lot of opinions on whether it was safe or not. But when people are speaking, not when we're going in and doing violent things, right? But when people are speaking and saying, I don't agree with this, I don't like this, this isn't okay. Hey, you need to listen to me. That is a excuse me. Alrighty. That is a constitutional right. You have the right to speak up and say, I don't think that this is fair. And if you have the right, that means you have the opportunity to do that. Okay? Terrence.
To add to what William said about the gun, you have to have a driver's license to have it.
Yeah, there are a lot of rules in place, so you have the right, but there are some rules in place until you get that right. So one example would be weapons. We're not going to let a 2-year-old have a weapon, right? That would be crazy. The same thing with voting. You have to be 18 to vote. So you get that right once you're 18. So sometimes there's qualifications that you have to meet before you're allowed to have that right. But those qualifications usually make sense and are for the safety of all people. Christopher, something to add?
When you want a gun, you need like a permit to get it.
Yes, so that permit would be a part of you getting that right. So sometimes there's some work that you have to put in order to earn that right, whether it's years of growing up or whether it's proof of, hey, you can trust me with this. But yes, there are qualifications for some of our rights in the country. The important thing here is what our text said, is that things that are outside of your control, you're not allowed to be discriminated against, right? So there are certain things that you can't change, and people aren't allowed to say, oh yeah, nah, you can't have that because you're this, okay? All righty. Good. So we've got individual equality and we've got rights. Let's continue on here. Let me share the screen. And Mr. McKinney is going to continue to show us how to find the main idea of this text.
Again, you can word the main idea in many different ways. For example, my first main idea says, the main idea of this passage talks about how equality and individual rights are important democratic values. Or I could explain it in a different way, in my own words. For example, this one says, the main idea of this passage states that it is important to have democratic values so that we are all treated equally and so we all have individual rights. Now we need to highlight any supporting details that have to do with the main idea. Let's just take a look at the first couple of sentences. Equality is another democratic value. Equality means that everyone is treated as equals. That seems like it goes really well with the main idea because it talks about how equality is an important democratic value. But we still need to talk about the individual rights. All U.S. citizens have the same individual rights. And you could choose from many sentences on this page that talk about rights.
Okay, so finding that main idea, again, you're going to look for supporting details that prove what it is you've been talking about. And the last two slides are just the text again, okay? Questions about main idea or questions about any of the content that we discussed today? Okay. Yes, William, there's no work on slide 13 and 14. It was just the text again. All righty, coming back to you. So you are getting ready to work on your seesaw assignment, okay? Your seesaw assignment, day 2 instructions say, slides 9 through 14 with your teacher, we did that. Now you are going to, on your own, listen to the text on slide 5 and complete the work on slides 6 through 10. Okay, so what that looks like is slide 5 has again a video of that Mayan text. You'll listen to it and it's about your civic duties. That means your jobs as a citizen. Okay, what do you need to do to make sure that you help to keep our freedoms and our rights protected? You will tell the main idea of this passage. You guys did a great job with main idea yesterday. I know you'll continue today. Just remember that when you write main idea, it should be in a complete sentence, and you're not going to say the main idea is civic duties, because I don't know if you're saying they're a good thing, they're a bad thing, they're gone, they're important, they're here forever. You got to tell me what you are learning about civic duties, okay? Then slides 7, 8, and 9 are the text for you to highlight your important details. It says highlight supporting details on 7, 8, and 9. Go ahead and grab your highlighter. And I want you to put a 3 by highlight any supporting details. You are going to highlight 3 supporting details for this main idea. Okay? That means when I'm grading this assignment, I'm going to look at your highlighting and give you 1 point for that one, 1 point for that one, and 1 point for that one. So if you don't highlight, you just lost 3 points. Okay? So make sure you are highlighting supporting details. Okay? And you need 3 of them. I just told you I'm grading 3 of them. You are welcome to get more, but you have to have at least 3. Okay? Go ahead and go to slide 10, please. On slide 10, you're going to do just the same thing that you did yesterday. You're going to look at this text and you're going to write 2 questions about it. So you're going to pretend to be the teacher and write the question and put the answer key. Okay, you guys did a very good job with this yesterday. I was talking with other teachers during our meeting yesterday, and they were frustrated because their kids were writing questions that had nothing to do with the text. Not my kids. You guys rocked it. So make sure your questions are coming directly from the text. Okay, so like as an example, I see this picture. I see it says drivers can receive tickets and pay fines for not obeying traffic laws. So I might say, who can receive tickets? And then I would type on my answer, drivers can receive tickets. So I write the question and the answer. Okay, I'm writing the question and the answer like I was a teacher making a quiz. I need to know the question and the answer. Okay, then you will click on check to turn this in. I am grading all of these slides. Okay, so I'm grading your work from yesterday and I'm grading your work from today. So before you click on that green check, you want to make sure that you have your main idea from yesterday done. You want to make sure you have your highlighting from yesterday done. You want to make sure you have 2 questions from yesterday done. And then you want to make sure you have main idea, highlighting, and 2 questions from today done. I am grading all of that, and that's a lot of work, so it's a pretty big grade, right? Okay, that is your assignment expectation for today.